Welcome to Who Cares, the podcast that embarks on a profound journey into the heart of empathy and indifference in our modern era. Each episode of Who Cares brings you insightful conversations with a diverse array of guests from various industries and walks of life. But Who Cares goes beyond individual stories. We dive into the larger societal and psychological undercurrents that have led to a perceived decline in collective empathy. Who Cares isn't just a podcast. It's a powerful call to action for reigniting the spirit of empathy within each of us. Let's find the answer to who cares together. Welcome to Who Cares.
Welcome to Who Cares, the podcast where we explore why empathy seems to be fading and what we can do to bring it back. Today's episode is especially important because we're talking about moms. Motherhood is one of the most challenging and rewarding experiences, yet many moms struggle in silence, especially when it comes to affording basic necessities like diapers and formula. I want to share a sobering reality. Did you know that 1 in 3 U.S. families struggle to afford diapers for their babies? That means moms across the country are forced to make impossible choices, stretching a single diaper for hours longer than it should be, using makeshift alternatives, or even skipping meals to afford basic baby supplies. Motherhood is hard enough, but imagine the added stress of not being able to provide something as essential as diapers for your child. And yet many people don't even realize that diaper need is a crisis. That's what we're talking about today. Why it seems like no one is paying attention and how small acts of care can make all the difference. But today's guest proves that when we care, we can make a real impact. Lindsay Gill is the founder of the Napkin Network, a nonprofit connecting moms in need with essential supplies and support. We'll talk about her journey, why moms need our help, and how small acts of kindness can create massive change. Today, the Napkin Network is a growing force of community-driven support. Lindsay, welcome to Who Cares.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes. Why do you think society undervalues the challenges of motherhood?
I think that's a huge question, right? It's women in general, it's all those factors, but I think the reality is, and it's even happening to me, and I do this all day long, the further you get away from some of these age-related issues, the harder it is to have it stay relevant. So for me, when I started the Napkin Network, when I had 2 little children, now I have 3. So I've been in it, but my youngest is now 3.5. So we're moving out of the diapers. We're potty trained. And even me, right? It's not a forefront of my issue. Like I kind of forgot how much diapers were. I kind of forgot how much formula is. It's just, you're just kind of focused on your own life, and that's normal. But we need people like me and you to remind other people, not only how hard it is, but how expensive it is at that age group to be a mom. And you just get busy with everyday life, and that's okay. But it's very, very expensive. It's very, very challenging. It can be very lonely to be a mom of babies. So I think that's really the issue that I try to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I imagine that increases depression for moms as well, feeling isolated and not heard.
I think so. That was part of, so I wanted to start a nonprofit, an actual physical space, because I was a mom who, like you said, I worked at National Geographic. I traveled all over. I felt like I had a pretty quote unquote cool life. And then when I had kids and I live in the suburbs, I was like, where do we hang out? And I was going to kind of like libraries, which weren't in great locations. I was going to like the Chick-fil-A, fast food, McDonald's, indoor playgrounds to hang out with my children and to meet some other moms. And those experiences left me feeling a little bit icky, a little bit gross. Like, to be honest, I don't want to be here. This kind of stinks. So my idea originally was to have a physical location, which is not new. Those exist everywhere. I know where you guys are. It's a lot more regular to have things like that. Other countries have places like that, but where I live in the DC area, there weren't a lot of them. But unfortunately, COVID really happened at that sort of same time. And so opening a physical location where people could gather just didn't make any sense, right? So even though I think it's still a great idea now and I'm seeing more of them, I had to pivot to more of a virtual and kind of like a network in that capacity where I could bring moms together and say like, it's going to be okay. And it's hard and it's lonely, but we're all out there figuring it out together. But yeah, I think being a new mom is very lonely, and it can definitely lead to forms of depression for sure.
Yeah. What do you think some of the biggest struggles moms face that people don't talk about enough, besides the the not having a space?
I mean, all of it, right? It's something completely new. You are taught how to, you go to school and then you get training for your job and all those things. And then when you're pregnant, you get proper medical attention and all the things. But as soon as you have that child, you are literally just let go into the wild. And hopefully you have a spouse. Hopefully you have a supportive family. Hopefully you have income of some sort. But even with all those things, you're still figuring out something completely new, right? So like the sleep exhaustion, or how do I get to the grocery store with a child in a nap time? I mean, all those things are just hard. So I think that there's not enough, I guess, attention and focus on, I think what a new term is coming out is the fourth trimester.
Uh-huh.
And that's
Oh,
obviously after the baby is born. So the first couple of months where you're quote unquote alone, whether you have a spouse or family or not, you're still like the mom alone with a baby. And what happens? How do you take care of yourself? Also, the nutrients and the
right.
this pressure to like bounce back and all these things. It's a lot of mental overload, I think. So there's maybe it's not new, but it's kind of new to me. Maybe it's new to some of your listeners, but the fourth trimester of being a mom and what that looks like.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I mean, because you're also dealing with all the role changes, is your name, it's you. Then you might be a Mrs. to somebody, then you're somebody's mom, then and I'm
Yeah.
sure with all that going on, and then the overwhelming responsibility and the not knowing.
Yeah. I don't think you can ever like go
Yeah,
back,
yeah, yeah,
like I said earlier, even today I have a sick child, but that will take like priority, but you can never go back to sort of the
yeah.
the commitments. I mean, you have a child, so they're going to need you, and there's no way to go back to what you had before, and it's better, hopefully. But yeah, once you're a mom, there's no going back to your old life in any way.
Right, right. And so, you were talking about the rising costs of parenting. What does it actually cost to provide for a baby now? What is it? What are you seeing?
So the reason I started the Napkin Network was, I mean, basically it was during COVID. So moms were struggling already sort of financially, but then during COVID, when things were much more difficult, like you couldn't go to your job and you couldn't send your child to your daycare, or whatever the situation was, all these things were adding up. They were making motherhood much more expensive. So in terms of like the cost of being a mom, obviously that varies based on your ages of your children and how many you have. But just to put it in perspective, a can of formula, right, that you need if you're using formula for your baby, which a lot of moms either have to do or choose to do, and either one is fine, is about $50. And that doesn't last you more than probably like 10 days. I mean, not that long. If that's their only food source, you're constantly doing bottles every couple hours. And if you don't, even for somebody who has a job and has an income or a spouse, that's still a lot of money. So then when you factor in like a low income family, that's a lot of money. And then also what I was seeing was, once I started the Napkin Network, people were asking for the blue can. I had like a request form, like, what kind of formula? The blue. And I kept saying, like, why is everyone just asking for the
Yeah,
blue can? I didn't even know what that meant. I was like so new to all this. So I
yeah.
looked it up, and there's a Similac blue can. And that, from what I understand, that's the one that's mostly covered by your food assistance programs, like your WIC stamps. So great if your child uses that and that's good for you. But if your child can't use that, or it's not responding well,
Right.
kind of just out of luck. And now you're $50 for just a can of formula. So it's
Wow.
pretty bad.
Yeah, that's a lot. So do you think, there's so much pressure to be quote unquote a good mom.
Yeah.
Do you think the concept of being a good mom has changed in the last few years?
Yeah, absolutely. But
Huh?
for me, and I think like that's why I just try to tell all the moms, like if you are worried if you're a good mom or not, then you're already an amazing mom, right? Because like if you care about what you're doing and what I'm teaching my child, what I'm feeding them, are they watching too much screen time? Do they have enough friends? Like then you're a great mom. But yeah, I think everything kind of like ebbs and flows, of course. Like there's so much pressure for moms to be um, full-time this and full-time that, and still maintain the home and make the meals and be at every sporting event. It's kind of impossible. But I think the more conversations we have about it, and there's a lot more of that, which is amazing. It's just becoming more of a topic, right? We're like, that's impossible. We either need someone to help us or we're just not going to be there for something. And that's okay too. And having those conversations with your child, like, I know the pressure in my area is like, if you're not a great athlete by the time you're like 8 years old, you've missed the boat on something, and you're like, my child's 8, he doesn't know what he wants to do yet. So just kind of like bringing yourself down and be like, if you're worried, then you're already a good mom.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think people, on the outside are aware of how financially and emotionally difficult it can be to raise a child? Or do we just kind of assume that, oh, moms will figure it out?
Well, it's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like every phase is different. So for me, my oldest is, I'm 8, 5, and 3. So I don't even know the expenses ahead of us. We're trying to plan for college and just kind of guessing what's college going to cost in 15 years from now. And like, we're like, oh, we'll figure it out when we get there. But like, we have to figure that out now. Right. And so the further you get removed from that and you're closer to college, that's your thing. But now that I'm dealing with infants and babies, that's my goal. That's my like mission in life right now, is to remind people how expensive it is to be in this phase of parenthood, because it's fleeting. This phase doesn't last very long, but when you're struggling and when you're trying to raise an infant, it feels like an eternity. So reminding people the cost of a single pack of diapers is this, the cost of a can of formula is this, don't forget to donate diaper wipes too, because even though that seems cheap, that's another $15 with the diaper wipes. So just reminding people that I can't do it all, right, but this is my goal in life right now, to remind people how expensive it is to raise like babies.
Absolutely. So you kind of touched on what you did before working for National Geographic. So what kind of inspired you to leave that career and start the Napkin Network?
Well, I was maybe like a little lost when I was in college. I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do. And that's fine, right? We're figuring it out. So I did a couple internships. I live in the Washington, D.C. area. So I interned on the Hill, and then I kind of stumbled into TV production. There's a lot of that happening here, whether it's the news or, but National Geographic had a headquarters. So I got an internship, and long story short, it was amazing. It really was. But what was the most amazing thing I got out of it was realizing that wasn't for me, because as cool as it was, and the quote unquote dream job that it was, I just didn't want to get promoted. I kept getting scared. Like, oh God, don't promote me. I don't think I want to do that or learn that. And so that was like my heart telling me that this is the wrong career path for you. So my I went to a much larger nonprofit, got some experience there for a couple years, but didn't feel still that was the right fit. So in that nonprofit, I gravitated toward the development and fundraising division of that, not necessarily the direct services. And I thought, this is kind of where I feel like my skill set and my wheelhouse is. And at the same time, it was just networking and volunteering in Washington, D.C., which there's a lot of that. And there's a lot of that anywhere. So I highly encourage people to get out and volunteer, especially if you're kind of lost.
Yeah.
Whether it's professionally or just personally, like just go volunteer.
Yeah.
And when I was doing that, I met my husband, who had a charity. And together for 10 years, we built that up. It was a military nonprofit. It's still in existence today, but I'm on my own path now. But we did that charity together for 10 years. And the rest is history, I guess. But yeah, just kind of following your heart. When someone's telling you it doesn't feel right, you got to go with that.
So that's kind of your calling, charity and advocacy and such.
Yeah. I mean, and there's lots of versions of that. You can be a volunteer, you can go work for a big organization, or you can kind of take the route I'm doing, or try to do your own thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the future is. Right now, I work by myself. My goal is to fundraise in 2025 so I can add to my team. I can grow it. Right now, I've just been kind of doing it by myself, which has been completely rewarding, but exhausting.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, there's much more people we can help if people donate and get involved. So
how does that process work?
Which one? Growing, fundraising?
Well, yeah, I guess growing, but also the donation process. What is it? What does a day in your life look like?
So right now, I kind of serve as, I guess I call it the middleman. I don't know if that's the most sexy term for it, but when I first started, I would get so many items donated: diapers, wipes, formula, strollers, car seats. Like my house was overflowing with stuff. And I was like, this is amazing. This is amazing. This is amazing. And that's why I incorporated the organization. I thought, okay, there's something here. But the problem was I was naive. And then I would put it on Facebook on like moms groups. And I say to like targeted moms groups for low income families. And I'd like, I have these items, like come get them. And then I'd get crickets, or I wouldn't get crickets, but I'd get so many people saying, I want to come get them, but I can't. Like, I don't have a car. You live in a suburb. I live in, inner city this. And do you have a bus stop near you? And all these things where I was like, oh gosh, like, okay, now I have a backlog. Now I have a real problem. So I have all these items, but I can't give them out. So I was getting my home address. Like, nothing was great about that. So
yeah.
I figured like my skill set and what I really thought was what we touched on earlier was like the isolation part. And in the Napkin Network, the network part to me was important, creating opportunities for moms to get together, to come out, have coffee, socialize, bring your child. And at those events, I would collect the items. And now I give them to other nonprofits. I basically just give them away. Yeah. But these organizations are well established. They're great, resources in the community already. They've been around for 30, 40 years. They're just struggling too with donations. And for whatever reason, I'm not struggling with the donations. So I get these items, I inventory them, I kind of divide them up based on need: diapers, food, like gear. Some go to immigrant families, some go to schools, right? I get a lot of clothes. I play tennis. I don't even necessarily want all these things, but I play tennis. My club a couple weeks ago gave me all these tennis rackets, like completely out of mission, but they were just like, we saw you on TV. We know you, service families in our area. Like, and it's a lot of value of these amazing tennis rackets. Wow. So again, slightly out of mission, but like, I just find places to kind of put these items that would otherwise maybe just go in the trash.
Wow.
So I serve as the middleman right now.
Uh-huh. That's terrific.
That's my process.
Yeah. That's really neat. So what do you think are some of the biggest lessons you've learned from the moms in need?
We're all the same, like when I had my third baby, who I said is about 3.5 now, this is a little personal, like a personal choice, but I didn't love nursing. It was hard for me and all the different things. So when I was pregnant, I was like, you know what, I'm going to use formula for him. Like, I've got 2 other children. I'm going to nurse for a little bit, but as soon as it's possible, I'm going to switch to formula.
Yeah.
And when there was a massive nationwide formula shortage in about March, April. He was born in December. So I was going along with that. And then all of a sudden, no formula anywhere. And I'm a mom with means, a mom with money, a mom with a spouse, a mom with a job. And I couldn't get formula, right? So like, it didn't matter. I became a mom in need. And the fear and the sort of like, where am I going to get food from for my baby is no different whether you have all these things or not. So I was like just struggling just as much as the moms I was trying to help. And luckily that has resolved itself, but that should never even happen in the beginning. But being a mom on the ground, like very recently after the formula shortage, there was a medicine shortage. It was very hard to get like Motrin. Motrin was marked up to $30 a bottle at your local like Walgreens, CVS. So I started collecting. I didn't really collect it because I didn't want people to take it off the shelves, but I was just saying, like, if you have extra Motrin or extra Tylenol to donate, like, donate it to me. But so just kind of being like a real-time resource on the ground, I think has been kind of eye-opening to just being a mom. Like, that's why I can make a difference, because I'm a mom too.
Yeah. Well, being very aware too of, what the needs are and in that moment. And then I don't know how you do it, managing your own family and the families of other people. I mean, that's
Well, I involve them, which I don't know if that's good or not, but every day they come home and there's diaper donations or there's this or that, and I ask my kids, like, help me bring these things in, or help me count me, and don't touch them, they're not for you, whatever.
What do they think about all that?
I mean, they're little, but they get it. I asked my oldest one day, like, do you think mommy works? I was just curious what he says. He said, oh, you network. And I was like, I network. Like, I wasn't even thinking. I was like, that's such a big word for him. And he was like, yeah, like the diapers. And I was like, okay, so he is paying attention. He does know. My littlest is in part-time pre-K. And every time I go there, they hand me all their like diapers. I got these big strollers. So I'm like, kids, move over. We got to load the car up. They're quite used to it now.
That's wonderful. It's a great way for them to learn.
I hope so. I think
Yeah.
just organically, just introducing them all that stuff. And like I said, their dad, my husband has a military charity. So
Oh,
that's kind
okay.
of a little bit bigger picture. But yeah, they go to some of the events for him. And we're trying to raise our children like that to kind of give back to.
Yeah, it's terrific.
Thank you.
So, Lindsay, you saw a problem and took action, but so many people feel overwhelmed and don't know where to start. What advice would you give to someone who wants to make a difference but doesn't know how?
Just start, right? My friend says done is better than perfect. Like I don't know where to start. I kind of had this idea, and I actually started my organization on December 31st, 2020. And that's only important because in my head, I was thinking, oh my gosh, 2020 has been so bad with COVID. Like 2021 has to be better. So it was like a time thing. I was like, January 1st will be 2021. I have to start this today. So I just like made a logo. I made an Instagram page and I got started. And then you can kind of figure it out. You don't have to like blast everybody all at once, but
Yeah,
baby steps, right?
yeah,
Getting started is better than making it perfect because you'll never do it if you're waiting for till it's perfect.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
I'm sure you feel the same way. I mean, you guys are growing something too, and it's like you're learning every day. It's
Oh,
never.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean that is the challenge, right? And it's actually just like you're saying, is putting the foot forward and stepping and see, is that solid? Is it something,
Yeah,
that's working or not working? And the trial and error is everything at that point.
I think so. Yeah, and I mean, I have so much to learn. I'm like I said, I'm doing it by myself, and some people say it's too personal. It's too Lindsay, and other people say, it just you can't
Yeah.
please everybody. Or I think you should donate here, or don't donate there, and you know,
Yeah.
there's no perfect answer.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of what we talk a lot about here on the podcast is the kind of the lack of empathy in the communities that I'm seeing post COVID, it seems like to me. And I wondered if you saw a lot of that during COVID, or actually if that was a different experience for you, because this is when you pretty much started
Mm-hmm.
was during that time.
Yeah, I would say I didn't exactly have that experience. I feel like most people were pretty empathetic to my cause. I mean, I feel like there's so many causes, of course, and there's so many like things that people care about. So at least kind of being a mom, we're targeting a big audience and we're keeping it kind of simple, right? We're just trying to take care of the babies. I sort of touched on it earlier. Like some people would say, like at one time a few times, I mean, I've donated to organizations that are in a church, or the organization leans pro-life, or things that I didn't really think twice about because
Yeah.
just a baby was involved, right? There's babies and they need help. So great, they can have the diapers. And then donors or volunteers would say, I wouldn't have given my diapers had I known it
Oh
was
my
going to a
goodness.
church or a
Yeah.
pro-life family, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, wow, I didn't, okay, like, I didn't think about that. And even now that I've thought about it, I still disagree with that. So
Yeah.
I think things like that, people are very particular on their beliefs,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
I think for the most part, people were very generous. When I had these formula drives, which is what kind of put the Napkin Network on the map, people were just turning out with cans that they had samples of. I'm good for 2 weeks. Take this. Just really, really generous. So luckily, I've had a very generous and empathetic response.
So this isn't just in your community, right? This is
Well, yes and no. Like I'm a Washington D.C. based organization and mom, so I'm really trying to perfect the model here. I have expanded outside this area, but not that far, like into Baltimore, Annapolis, which I don't know if radius wise is probably like about like within 2 hours of my
yeah.
area. So, but I do have kind of an adopt a mom program. You can request help on our website, and I've serviced moms in I think every state by sending items or trying to connect with a volunteer group in that area. But I don't have the bandwidth or the financial support yet to
Yeah.
really grow outside this area. But that would be an amazing goal. I had a free pop-up pantry in a local mall here, and they gave me free space, and I stocked it every week with items. And I think that's a model I could replicate in other areas if funding or space like that is available, that's kind of something I'd love to grow. But right now it's mostly Washington, D.C. area in terms of like in-person events and fundraisers and gatherings. And then we branch out from there.
Such a neat idea. Even think about, adopt a mom. I love that concept.
Yeah, adopt
Yeah.
a mom because like I said, financially, I'm not huge. I'm very small, but if I can put the call out to a huge audience, which we're growing, and say, hey, this mom lives in Los Angeles, this mom lives in Houston, whatever, and they need help, and there's a mom in that area, or just a mom that's called to support that cause. They have taken it upon themselves to kind of ship via Amazon or Target or same day delivery in that area. And that's a way we can kind of bridge the gap to get those items. So I tell moms, like, or people who want to get involved, I say, obviously we love your financial donations, but even if you sent like an Amazon gift card, right, $50 or Target $50, then I can ship items. So that's kind of a phase I'd like to explore also.
That's such a great idea. And I mean, you think about how that affects the mom psychologically, and not just the mom, but the family. That, it kind of frees her up to be there emotionally in different ways for the children that I think we take for granted probably when we have all those things that come to us naturally, or because of privilege or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I just was thinking of something that happened recently where in my area, I kind of have drop off locations and pickup locations. It's mostly just like family members or friends who offer their businesses or homes. So because I live in a suburb, so I just kind of wanted to have a few areas. And my brother and his wife collect kind of like downtown DC. And there was a mom who sent a request and said, I really need food and diapers for the night. She had like one child. And I saw her address and I knew in my head that she lived close to my brother. So I told her, we have a site close to your house. Go get whatever you need, right? And she was very grateful. But then she wrote back like, okay, it'll be about 2 hours because I have to get like a babysitter, or my 1-year-old I have to get on the bus. Like I kind of mentioned this earlier, but all those things it took for her just to go a couple blocks to get to my brother's house. And I just called him and I said, hey, can you drop this off? It took him like 15 minutes round trip to go drop some food off. Because he had 2 kids, a wife, a car, parking spot, and so, even though I'd say, yeah, I have it all for you, it's not that easy.
Not that easy.
She was so grateful, like, oh my God, that would have taken me so long to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think these are things we take for granted, as we don't consider those things as an issue for people if we don't experience it ourselves, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you probably learned a lot along the way that is so valuable to the community that, is priceless.
I'm still figuring it out. And like personally, there's like sort of compassion fatigue. Like I'll be making a meal for my child and I'll see kind of a message pop up that says, I need a meal tonight. And, that sort of stuff just kills me. And I don't exactly know how to handle that stuff. I don't really even do meals or food, but kind of putting some like barriers to my own personal life too, because I can't solve everything. And there's people like much larger than me, and there's food banks and there's big diaper banks.
Right.
So I try to find other resources to direct people to if it's something.
Yeah. Like well, how do you take care of yourself in that? Because I imagine that could be very stressful.
Yeah, I think that sort of by donating to these organizations and being a middleman to other organizations, I still do direct service, direct to a mom, but I try to say like the items that you're giving me are going more towards like this group this week and this group this week and this school this week. And it helps me compartmentalize, like I'm helping, I'm giving back, I'm filling these pantries. I'm just maybe not one-on-one all the time. It's extremely exhausting. It's very overwhelming. It's emotional.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
I can't drive everywhere. I can't drop all these things off. It's impossible. So there's a big world out there, and there's a lot of problems that we need to solve.
Yeah. And then having a family of your own too.
Well, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to be, first and foremost, I have to be available for them, of course. But they're fine. They have everything they need, and they have a great family, and they're going to be fine. So we can steal a little time here and there to help others.
Yeah. So do you think people genuinely want to help, but just don't know where to start? I mean, do you think that's part of what happens from the work you've seen?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's always just like finding the cause that resonates with you or is personal to you. And it could be like an illness driven initiative or animals or military. I think everyone should get involved in something. And obviously, if you have a tie to it, then that's the best. You just have to be aware that maybe not everyone's going to feel that same way. So when you're asking for donations or volunteering or something, like people have their own causes. I think people are really, yeah, I find people are very generous and they want to get involved. Most people don't want to donate money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Easily. They're very willing to give their time. In my case, they're very willing to give their items, and that's great. But, if companies kind of invested in smaller organizations, I mean, that's kind of a barrier to entry to bigger conversation. But if I apply for a grant or ask a business for money, they'll say, well, you're not big enough, basically. Like, long story short, like you don't have enough financials or name recognition. I say, yes. And that's why your investment would be more impactful with someone like me, because I would do so much with it. I'm not big salary in my home. So I think the call to action is more to people who are like corporate sponsors or people who give out grants to be a little more open-minded to funding people like myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to get to them, I'm sure is kind of a challenge at times. Yeah,
exactly. And I've been in this world for a long time. Like I said, my husband had a military charity. He still has it, but for 10 years, and we worked our way up. We got some pretty big sponsors, and it took a while. It took some national media attention and kind of war being very relevant at the time. And I think just maybe motherhood is relevant as it is. It's never like forefront on any news topics.
Right. Yeah. Do you want to speak more about that charity?
The charity is called Luke's Wings, and it is so they provide free airfare for, at the time when it was started in, I think 2010, for wounded warriors and their families to be together during recovery from their injuries. Because when a wounded warrior was injured on the battlefield, they would be flown stateside, but their family members were limited to just 3 flights. And when you're recovering for years, I mean, if you have an amputation or a brain injury, you're recovering for many years. The transportation cost is not covered. So families would go kind of bankrupt just trying to stay together with their loved one who was in a military hospital somewhere in the country. And so we provided free flights for as long as the service member and their family needed. And that's still going. And they just have pivoted a little bit more because it's been so long since like 9/11, basically. Now they service people who are suffering from alcoholism or depression or ongoing medical needs 20 years post 9/11. It's interesting too.
It sounds like it. It sounds like you've gained a lot of experience from there to work on the Napkin Network.
Well, I think that's important too, is to know what people are donating towards. So in that case, it was very specific, right? It was airline tickets or travel if someone couldn't fly, but trains or cars or something. But in my case, it's pretty basic too. It's like basic baby essentials. So diapers, wipes, formula, even though I've kind of gotten away from that and I say yes to everything. That's the core. And want people to know, like if they donate $50, that basically covers, like I said in the beginning, a can of formula.
Yeah. Which isn't a lot.
No, unfortunately not.
So if you could tell every struggling mom one thing, what would it be?
Oh, I guess you're doing a great job and it is going to be okay. There are a lot of resources out there and there's a lot of moms who care and want to help. And I know that sounds so like kind of naive and maybe a little too positive if you're really struggling, but it is the case. Like there's so many people like me in the Napkin Network who want to help other moms and are so happy to give our stuff. So just one day at a time, everything is a phase, whether you're a struggling mom or just a mom, right? Everything is a phase and it's all going to be okay.
Yeah, I think that's amazing advice.
I tell myself that all the time. It's just a phase.
Yes. Especially when it gets really tough, I'm sure. Yeah. So what is one small action our listeners could take today to help moms in their own community?
I think a lot of moms are like if you're on social media or like a Facebook, join sort of these like mom groups, because you could always post if you have stuff to share or give. There's a lot of moms out there who are so grateful for your leftover diapers, right? If you have a couple pull-ups, now your kid's potty trained, but you have 10 pull-ups and you think, oh, nobody wants these. Somebody wants those.
Yeah.
You know, or, oh, my child didn't like this applesauce. I'm just going to like toss it.
Yeah.
No, somebody wants your applesauce.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know how far that goes. I try to be careful about giving anyone money. Of course, I think anyone should be,
Right.
just because you never know, but a gas card, a Target card, you know, any of these little things that just maybe $25 or $50 could really change someone's, I don't want to say life, but like they could change their week. So
Right.
if you're in the position to
Oh.
just give a tiny bit, it really does matter.
Yeah. And I do notice that, I think, a little more and more on social media threads. Like if you get on your local city ones, people are
Mhm.
doing that more and more with a lot of different things, which is very, very cool. Having
No,
like
it's like a
free
cool new,
resource Friday or something, you know, and
yeah,
it's kind of
yeah,
cool.
like secondhand thrift, all that sort of stuff
Yeah.
is cool again, as it should be. And
Yeah.
yeah, just, you know, always be careful, of course, if you're donating or receiving anything like a car seat, make sure it hasn't been in an accident or
Mhm.
nothing has like a recall on it. You know, those things are always like very scary for me to accept or to donate. And I
Sure.
always want to make sure, but nothing expired, you know.
Yeah.
I've gotten some crazy items. I've gotten some like household cleaners, half empty bottles. Like, you got to be careful saying
Right.
putting it too vague.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have some stuff to give and you're not exactly sure, maybe you don't need to make $5 off it. Just post it for free, give it to a mom who needs it. It just might make a huge difference.
So, on that note, Lindsay, if people want to get involved, how do they contact you? How would this process work?
Yeah. So if they want to get involved and they need help or support, that's one way. You know, you can reach out on our website or Instagram. My email is very simple. It's Lindsay with an A at napkinnetwork.com. Like all the emails come right to me. But if you'd like to get involved in your community, or I mean, it's all the same. It's
Yeah.
Instagram. It's my email. Just let me know how you'd like to get involved, and we'll make it happen. You know, you're reaching me directly, and I answer everything. So I would encourage people to follow on Instagram though, because
Yeah.
I post things in real time. You know, real adopt and need moms. Follow on our website, but I'm kind of bad at website development, so
Uh-huh.
you get much more timely updates on my Instagram page, which is the Napkin Network.
Awesome. Great. Okay. Well, to kind of finish things off, I wondered if you might have any special stories or situations that happened that you would want to share.
So, yeah, sure. This is a little bit different, but I guess it would just be like, always talk about what you're doing. And that's advice for anybody, because what happened to me was something kind of funny. I was at a child's birthday party for my son, and his wife said, you have to tell my son, or you have to tell my husband, I'm sorry, you have to tell my husband about what you're doing. And I was like, why would her husband, like, no offense, but why would her husband want to know about what I'm doing it was with the formula shortage. And, you know, I just was like at the party, like eating my bagel, like not really.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it turned out her husband is a congressman, and he literally took what I was doing straight to the Biden administration in the White House. Like nothing hugely changed, but
Yeah.
I saw some traction. I saw some emails. I saw some notes. I saw some stuff about the formula shortage. And because he was a congressman, and he just went and he thought what I was doing was important and impactful, and he knew me directly. And like, that just was such a reminder, kind of what you were saying before, like, do people care? People do care. You just have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Who care? You know, you never know who's listening. And
Absolutely.
one conversation could really make a difference.
Oh, it's so exciting.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, amazing.
Yeah. Right.
You know, I was at that birthday party.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, I want to thank you for your conversation today. This has been really eye-opening for me too, on many different levels, and I'm excited to put this information out to everybody, and so they understand. I mean, it's really, really great thing that you're doing, and appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity, and just always happy to remind people how hard it is and how expensive it is. So, with your support.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.